Hi! Was there due process during the arrest of President Rodrigo Duterte? Find out at the end of the video. Here we go. Hi! Welcome to the channel again. So, as we all know, and it's probably part of world history, that President Rodrigo Roa Duterte was arrested last March 11, 2025 at the NAIA Terminal 3 here in Manila during an arrival from Hong Kong, and he was within 12 hours brought to an airplane that flew from Manila to Dubai to The Hague. Now, the real topic of this video was whether due process was observed during the arrest. We're not going to talk about whether the arrest warrant was valid or not. That's going to be on another video. Or whether there was jurisdiction of the ICC. That again is already been covered in another video, which I will link down below and put a link up here. Okay, before we talk about whether or not there was due process, let's define what due process is. In the ordinary meaning, due process means an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity to defend oneself. As you can see in the graphic, is again, due process is to defend, or the opportunity to defend oneself. Now, what is the basis of due process? Is it in our laws? Is it in the law of the land? Well, it is enshrined, it is placed in our 1987 Constitution under the Bill of Rights. In fact, it's the first one, the first primary, the most important Bill of Rights. And it states here in Article 3, Section 1, no person shall be deprived of liberty, let's call it life, liberty, which with regards to the arrest, again, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law. Saying the constitutional, your basic human right, your basic right under the Bill of Rights is that you cannot be deprived of liberty when it's an arrest without due process. Okay, that's a primordial, basic, most important right under the Constitution. Now, it goes further saying that the next section under Article 3, which states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature for any purpose shall be inviolable, which means the right to be secure over your liberty cannot be changed, cannot be given away, cannot be brought under the law or changed under the law because it is in the Constitution. Again, to re-emphasize the right to be secure in their persons against unreasonable searches and seizures. Now, what happened to Rodrigo Duterte last March 11 was unreasonable? No. It was reasonable because there was an arrest warrant. Now, whether the arrest warrant was valid or not, that's topic for another video. If there was an arrest warrant issued, it doesn't anymore count whether it's reasonable or unreasonable. It is unreasonable if there is no justification for the arrest. If there's an arrest warrant, then the arrest technically is justified. Okay? Now, the Philippine Supreme Court defined due process further under the case of Republic versus Sandigan Bayan, which was decided in November 18, 2003. It defined due process further by saying what the law prohibits, the denial of due process, is not merely the absence of notice, but the absence of notice and the lack of opportunity to be heard. What the Supreme Court said is that the definition of due process is the notice and the right to be heard. It must be together, the absence of which is a denial or the absence of due process. Okay, let that be clear. There are principles of due process. Let's break down what is commonly used as principles. All right. The first is a right to a hearing. The second is a notice and an opportunity to be heard. Third is an impartial tribunal. Fourth is the right to counsel. And most importantly, also the right to appeal. Now, Were these principles present during the arrest of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte last March 11? Let us review through the principles. First, during March 11, was there a right to a hearing? Well, technically there was, because after he was arrested on March 11 and brought to The Hague, there was a hearing on March 14 where he was allowed to present and be represented by counsel during that hearing. And we all seen that video, all right? Now, was there a notice and opportunity to be heard? Well, in that March 14 hearing, the ICC then set another hearing in September 2025 for the confirmation of charges. So given enough time for the prosecution to defend the arrest warrant and for the defendant, here in case President Duterte, to attack the arrest, to question its infirmity, or to defend himself. There he's been given the notice and the opportunity to be heard. Now, the third principle, is there an impartial tribunal? Well, of course, some of you may disagree with me, but nevertheless, we have to give it good faith and good faith belief that the ICC is an impartial tribunal. So, nevertheless, there was a tribunal. It's an internationally recognized tribunal that is there created to prosecute crimes against humanity. So, the ICC is a tribunal. Whether you agree it's impartial or not, that's another question. Okay? Now, was President Rodrigo Duterte given the right to counsel? Well, both at the time of the arrest, in the Villamor Air Base, and you can clearly be seen in the videos, his former executive secretary, Attorney Medialdea, and his other lawyer, Attorney Delgra, the former LTFRB chairman, was there with him within 5 feet, within close proximity to President Rodrigo Duterte. So he was never denied the right to counsel. Then again, and we all know as of March 20, 2025, Mr. Duterte has already appointed a defense counsel for him, a British lawyer. All right? Of course, we can all see that in the news. Does President Rodrigo Duterte have a right to an appeal? Yes, he does. He has the right to appeal if there is a verdict or when there is a favorable or when there is a judgment not favorable to him. So far, there has been none. If there was a denial on his questioning the right of arrest, then he can appeal that decision. So, as we can see, there was due process during the arrest of President Rodrigo Duterte. You may disagree with me, but insofar as the requirements of due process during his arrest, I do not see any violation. If you did see, I would welcome your views, your observations, your conclusions in the comments below, and we can have a healthy discussion. Hi, please do me a favor and smash that like button. It'll help me a lot and it will trigger the YouTube algorithm. Now, if you have not yet, please subscribe to my channel. If you don't, my dog will eat this exam booklet and that student has to repeat his final exam again.